Are we, in our world, on this small planet of ours, really special creatures that the developmental force has entered the still on Earth and developed it into the vegetative, animate, and the speaking? What are the conditions for this force to be revealed? This force called the soul to be revealed in dead matter, so that then this force will start working, operating in the still. So accordingly, on the one hand, we can say that the laws of creation are universal laws. These are the same laws everywhere. If so, then, this is what physicists say. If these laws are universal laws, and the soul, this developmental force to develop things from the still to the vegetative to the animate and so on, it's a natural force which is revealed under the suitable conditions, and then it develops the still into different more advanced forms. This is what scientists think, and therefore they say, even in our galaxy, even in that area that's close to us, we have, suppose, 100 million such places where there could be life. Other scientists come and say, wait a moment, were it so, then we would have probably met them already, and together we would have had a wild time and a beautiful meeting. Or, on the contrary, Star Wars. But we see that probably, and this thought it's actually increasing lately, that we are probably special creatures. And it's not that we're so special, but that we're the only ones in the universe. And this is what scientists think. The wisdom of Kabbalah, it does not relate to that at all. And it's despairing a bit for someone who hears it. The wisdom of Kabbalah, it says that we exist within a still universe. We are very special on this small planet of Earth, which is in some corner of this entire universe. If we're talking about matter in the universe, then really, where are we? What are we? Who can see this planet at all? But in terms of strength and the ability to change and attain, we're in the center of the universe. And the purpose for the existence of man is to reach that force which has developed this entire universe, which has developed all the matter in it. And when we come to attain this great force, which is called the upper force, because really, it's higher than all the rest of the forces operating in our universe. And this is what the wisdom of Kabbalah explains, that we have to discover that force. And then we won't be dealing with this universe, with our material selves here, because the revelation of the upper force takes us beyond the universe. We start feeling time, space, motion, the matter of the universe, the forces that are operating in it. We start feeling them as a very, very low degree. all of which is taking place within us, in our perception, that this is how we see it. And if we discover the upper force, then we as if discover a new universe, spiritual one. It's like there are these glasses today that I put on and I as if see a different world, different reality. Yeah. Suppose it's like that. I don't have any... Suppose so. This one time I was in Canaveral in the US, where the spacecrafts are launched from. I was in the museums there and different other places. They took me on a nice tour. So I also saw these things there, that even scientists talk this way. There I also saw that there's this movie, not Star Wars, but I can't remember which. I saw a part of it. It was shown to us with respect to something else. That they push some button, suppose, and the screen before them suddenly shows them something that they didn't see before. That suddenly before them there's some creatures and spaceships and so on. So it's not exactly the same, but to the matter at hand. The wisdom of Kabbalah, when it lights up a new light in which we start seeing a new universe, which is called the spiritual universe, we don't relate to this universe that now we perceive in our five senses, because it is a very simple, primitive kind of form, completely distorted. And therefore no Kabbalist thinks or speaks about some possibly existing form of life on some planets and some galaxies. No such thing, and we don't need it. We rise immediately above our universe and we enter a different palace, a different space, which is simply a new dimension, not of ours. There's no 3D there in the matter of time or space or motion beyond the speed of light. How do we get there? Probably not in a spaceship. Right. By the wisdom of Kabbalah, that there's not much to talk about it, but we have to develop these qualities. How? By finding that force in us which developed us from the still to the vegetative, to the animate, to the speaking. If we discover that force in us and we keep developing it, then we rise above our own nature to the next level of our development. But what's the vehicle? It's not a spacecraft, right? The vehicle, I told you. It's the soul. It's that force which exists in us, and it does exist, only we have to discover it in us, and by it, to rise to the next level. Just like the still turns into vegetative, the very same way we turn into a new creature. What do we build this vehicle out of? We don't have to build it, we have to develop it. It exists. It's an inner particle that exists in everyone, of course, because we already developed from the still to the vegetative to the animate to the speaking. Now we have to keep developing. In order for there to be life in a different place, it means that that still has to have that inner particle. That inner particle already exists in us. It exists here on Earth, that inner particle. That's why we develop. But you're saying that the development doesn't stop here, but on a different dimension. Not in our universe, but beyond the universe, because this universe is depicted in us, inside our nature. When we develop into a new creature, and this is what the wisdom of Kabbalah makes out of us, we start acquiring a new form of life, a new way of perception, and then we no longer research what we have here. How do we make this transition between the worlds, between the universe, this universe? By which external force do we develop this internal force of ours called the soul? How do we develop it in order to feel through it the next dimension? That force is called the reforming light, which does what and how do you perceive it? There is a force in the universe that if we draw it on ourselves, we move on to the next level of development. That's actually the spaceship. Yeah, it's internal, it's inside us. How do we perceive that force? By studying? By studying and realizing. Studying what? The wisdom of Kabbalah? Yes. And this is what it talks about. This is its purpose. How could it be that studying causes, not only studying, physics is also a study, but see what it gives. It's not only studying, it's realization. There's the theoretical part and the practical part.